Evolution has brought about certain physical differences in racial groups. Are there also parallel psychological differences born into an infant of a particular race, or are they only acquired conditioning? And if the conditioning is inherited, can it really be changed or left behind? It's a long question. So if you don't mind, I'll read it again. Evolution has brought about certain physical differences in racial groups. Are there also parallel psychological differences born into an infant of a particular race, or are they only acquired conditioning? And if the conditioning is inherited, can it really be changed or left behind? Have you understood the question? Suppose I was born in China with yellow skin, slanted eyes. I'm just observing, please, I'm not criticizing. I'm not saying the other is beautiful, the other is not. I'm born in China with certain peculiar physiological, biological facts. Short, not so pinky skin, which is fashionable, and slanted eyes, and so on. That is a physical fact. The questioner asks, does that physical fact affect the psyche of the human, of the Chinese? You understand? Right? We are together in this? Are we together? Don't afterwards say I'm not clear. That is, I'm born in China. I'm a Chinese. And I have certain physical and biological traits. Face, limbs, hands, walk, and I can bear a great deal burden, and so on, physical burden. Does that outward biological, physiological fact affect the psyche, the structure of the psyche with its, does the racial conditioning affect the psyche, right? That's the question. I don't know actual theoretically, but suppose I'm born in India, which comes to the same thing, of different color, different, they're much more subtle, much more nervous, much more clever, sorry, excuse me, much more theoretical, much more analytical, but they don't go beyond that. They're all up here, some of them. And they can argue back and forth, argue the hinds of a donkey, and go on and on and on and on. I've listened, I've been in. So all that capacity, all that intellectual training of 5,000 years, does that affect the psyche? Does it affect the conditioning? I'm born black in this country with all the peculiar physical phenomena. And does that outward structure of the organism affect the inner Don't we all? And do I inherit the physical which will affect the psyche? You understand? Are we together in this? Is the psyche, the subjective state, is it different from the rest of mankind? You're white, you're tall, you can do certain things, and I, born in India with a different biological and physiological conditioning, will that affect the psyche? Don't you suffer? I suffer, right? Don't you go through various forms of fear, which I do, whether I live in China, here, or black, white, purple, whatever it is. And does the child inherit the biological conditioning? You're following all this? I hope you listen to the question. Then you can answer the question if you really listen to the question. The questioner says, does the physical conditioning shape the psyche? Does it condition the childhood racially? If you treat me, born in this country, as black, you would slightly push me aside, rather condemn me or look down upon me. And I feel inferior, guilty. Follow all this, guilty. So you exploit me. This is happening the world over. This is not something only limited to this country. In India, there's a great deal of color prejudice. The more light you are, the better you are. They would like to marry a girl or a boy who is light-skinned. You follow? This is the same the world over. It sounds funny and rather silly, but it is a fact. And the questioner says, does that racial biological condition affect the child, and that child as it grows up becomes biological exception? You understand? I should think not. This isn't a theory. I watched this game being played all over the world. That is, those who consider themselves racially superior because they're light-skinned or whatever it is, then they proceed to condition the other fellows who are not. And then they think it's a racial inheritance and feel guilty and all the rest of it. But as one observes these things very closely, without studying, going to books and all that, when one travels, when one even living in this country, one observes all this. And one sees fundamentally we are the same, psychologically. You suffer, I suffer, the black, the white, we suffer. We have agonies. We feel guilty, we feel anxious, insecure, confused, depressed, and all the rest of it, like you. But we don't recognize that because we are so inhuman. We are alike psychologically. That means, please listen, that means you are the entire humanity. Because you suffer, you go through agony, I do, he does, right? the Chinese, the Russians, and so on. So you are the entire humanity. That's a tremendous realization. Not individual American with all the rest of it. This is not a theory. It's not an ideal, something utopian. It's an actual daily fact. Are we playing the game? It's an actual daily fact.
You're saying conditioning only goes so deep.
Beg pardon, sir?
Conditioning only goes so deep and at a more...
Yes, conditioning is only skin deep, if you like to put it that way.
But it goes
Biological conditioning. There are all kinds of other forms of conditioning which is not related to race, which is the conditioning of the psyche. In its desire to be secure, I'm an American, I feel safe.
That's still not...
Please, sir, just I can't answer every... or British or French, you know the whole thing. And the other question is, can this psychological conditioning or inherited conditioning, in the sense, my parents tell me, look, don't look over, I have been told as a boy when I first came to England, you're an Indian, don't look over the hedge. You understand? Planted already, guilt. Fortunately, I never played that kind of game. So, is it possible to leave behind or be free of this psychological conditioning? Do you understand? Obviously, if one gives one's attention to it, if one goes in, not analytically, but just observes. As you observe in a mirror your face, you observe your reactions without any distortion. And that can only be done in a relationship with another. Relationship then becomes the mirror in which you see yourself exactly as you are. And if you like to keep that image, keep it. If you don't like it, break it. It isn't something tremendously arduous or difficult. We like to make it. Because we're, in our deeper sense, we are feeling guilty. We must do this and we must do that. All must be noble, courageous and all. So, that question, if we don't come to it without any prejudice, approach it without any conclusion, then the question covers a tremendous lot. You understand? Right? Can we go on to the next question?
Yes.
Have I answered this question, my lady, whoever put it on? Right. Not answered, you have resolved it.